Heroes of Greyhawk is a game played by adults and recorded for an adult audience. Sometimes we use adult language and explore adult topics. Consider yourself warned.
My friends, in our last session, the Golden Shears scrambled to set a trap for the imminent arrival of more wolves, called to the quarry by the echo of combat and Alren's well-performed howl. The party hid and watched as the two more direwolves and a second bipedal werewolf-like creature emerged from the darkness. Within moments, the trap was sprung and the party managed to utilize a water-filled sinkhole to their advantage, covering it with an illusion of an injured wolf so it might function as a pit trap. And indeed, it proved to be an effective and popular trap that welcomed both friend and foe. A couple of you spent some time swimming around in that little kiddie pool. But this was no easy wolf hunt. No, the monstrous werewolf, enraged by carnage, driven by bloodlust, clawed and bit its way through the party, opening them up and knocking them down. Only Nori managed to avoid being dropped, largely due to an effective hiding place she found under a dead direwolf. That was smart. The situation was certainly grim. A dark, stormy night, a vicious werewolf, party within inches of their death. Only Xanthi's healing powers and the chat's generous assistance, thank you chat, provided any semblance of hope, keeping our heroes alive long enough to put down the ravenous lycanthrope. Nori raced forward, emerging from her hidey hole, brandishing her hexblade, Orvan's Gladius, and dealt the killing blow. The party watched as the wolf dropped to the ground and transformed into a woman who sputtered blood as she called for her lover, Azrael. And with her last dying breath, the woman revealed that a creeping mist had somehow transported her and her companion to this place, far from their home, turned them into something unnatural, something evil. The party recovered the body of their guide Curtis and trudged through the stormy night, returning to the town of Emrity, where they found a concerned group of villagers anxiously awaiting them at the Rock Powder Inn. It was a somber moment. The Shears informed those assembled of the horrors encountered in the old limestone quarry, the loss of life, the danger of the mists. Amongst the tears and anguish, the townsfolk expressed gratitude for the party's heroic attempt to rescue the missing shepherds, of putting down two substantial threats. Preparations were made to bar the doors, batten down the hatches, and take refuge for the remainder of the night, with plans to send a group out to recover what they might from their loved ones on the morrow. My friends, you sleep the sleep of those whose nightmares pale in comparison to the horrors that you've witnessed in your waking hours. The sleep of those with the anxiety of what terrors lay ahead. Heavy, dreamless, but restful. All of you slumbering, except for Nori Bibblespark. Nori, you find yourself tossing and turning through the night, eventually opening your eyes and finding yourself standing once again in the rain. Thunder crackling overhead, the soaking torrent of water falling down upon your body, rolling off of your cloak. You look around and you recognize the place that you're in. It's not the Rock Powder Inn. Your friends are nowhere to be seen. But you recognize this is your home. Greenway Valley. Your family's modest farmhouse and stables. reminding you of a simpler time. You can look over and you see a flock of sheep huddling together tightly beneath a rain shelter that protrudes from the shearing shack. The smell of wood smoke drawing your attention back to the house. It looks, on this cold and wet night, warm and inviting. Standing there in the rain, Nori, in a strange subliminal space, what are you doing?
I'm drawn to the house. I want to go see my family. Maybe my brother's in there.
You start walking towards the house. Mm-hmm. And as you approach, you can hear voices from within, familiar sounding voices, though the words seem muffled as if they're far, far away. You place a foot on the front step, leads up to the old wooden porch, a place you've sat before, writing, reading, staring out over the fields.
Push my way through the front door.
As the front door opens and you push your way inside, you turn, you close the door, you see your mother standing, fussing about the hearth. Make sure you shut that door tightly, Nori. It's a frightful night outside.
Okay, Mom.
And take your boots off.
Oh, okay. I get down and start taking them off right away. Where's Dad? Where's Nell?
They're in your father's study, having a conversation. You must be hungry. Would you like some stew?
I'd love some, Mom.
She gets out this big ladle and she stirs this big pot that she has simmering over the hearth, and she spoons a big, warm, steaming ladle full of broth and vegetables and roasted meats, and she carries the bowl over and sets it on the table. Have a seat then. She grabs a spoon, sets it down in front of you.
I dive in immediately.
It's delicious.
It's all over my face. It's
It's
on the table.
so good. It's just like you remember it.
It's in my hair. Mom, this is so good.
You're a mess, Nori. For Pete's sake, here. And she comes over with a towel and she's like, kind of like wiping your face like she did when you were a kid.
Don't make the soup so good.
No.
This wouldn't happen.
Oh, Nori, you're so sweet.
Can I have some more?
Of course. Why the appetite? What were you doing out there in the rain, Nori?
It's just walking around making sure the sheep are okay. Making sure there's no blood on the mud on the stones.
Well, you're a good girl, Nori. Let me get you some more. And she walks over and she pulls a ladle of stew and puts it in the bowl and she sets it down. Now take your time with this, Nori. You'll get a stomachache. She goes back to the pot and she stirs it and she's just doing her thing over at the hearth.
Mom, is everything okay? Are you happy?
It's fine, Nori. Everything is as it should be. Your father and your brother are discussing the call to arms. I am concerned. If we're being honest with you, dear.
When is it gonna be?
Well,
Has he decided that we're going?
The Free Assembly has not made a decision, but the call has been made not once but twice. The gnomes of the Cron Hills have not heeded the call. I believe your brother intends to go on his own, with or without the blessing of the Assembly. Perhaps you could speak with him, convince him not to leave.
I can't convince Nell not to go. If he goes, I'm going. You know that's how it works.
Dear, no, please, do not say that to your mother. I have enough to worry about with your father and your brother bickering over this.
You know, I watch over him. I won't let anything happen to him. He needs someone like that. He's very strong-headed, and he needs someone to make sure he doesn't go charging into trouble.
Well, you've always been a good sister, taking care of your brother, but he does have his responsibilities. Finish up now, dear.
Okay.
She goes back to the stove. You can hear the voices in the back getting a little bit more animated. Your mother just starts humming a tune.
I just push the bowl away from me on the table, and I wordlessly am going to get up and go back there.
Okay. You walk down the hall towards your father's study. You can see, as you pass by, you see your brother's room on the left. You see your bedroom on the right. You keep walking. There's a large painted portrait of your extended family on the wall that you glance at momentarily as you approach the door. The door to the study is closed, and you can hear voices. Father, Prince Thrommel and the righteous host have called for the gnomes of the Cron Hills to assemble, to gather. The first regiment requires a leader. That is me. I am tasked by decree of the conclave as the warden. I must go. We must heed the call. Boy, you do not know the dangers that await us. I do not intend to send you and the others to their deaths. Father, Bilbert, Fredith, Salros, myself, we intend to go with or without the blessing of the assembly. What can I do to stop you, boy? You listen longer. As the firstborn, father, this is my duty. I have been tasked to bear the sword, to lead the first. I'm your firstborn, father. I'm the one. You hear a pause. Then you hear your father's voice, almost as if he is starting to break a little bit and become emotional. He says, Nalvin, you are not the firstborn. This is not your burden. What do you do, Nori?
This is news to Nori. I am waiting quietly at the door. I'm not barging in yet. I was just about to push the door open, but as soon as I heard that, my hand kind of came back a little bit.
What do you mean, father? Now, there are things that you do not understand about our family. You must tell me, father. I must know. The burden is too great, son. You must ensure that Nori does not hear of this. Well then, father, a deal has been struck. You will vote in favor of the first deployed to join Thrommel's host. I will keep this secret for now. Long pause. It shall be so. What do you do, Nori?
I clear my throat and I cough and I knock on the door.
As you knock on the door, instead of the hard sound of fist upon door, your fist goes right through the door and it disapparates into a shadow, and you hear a dog barking in the distance. Hounds of some kind, more than one. And at that point, all of you at the Rock Powder Inn are awakened to the sound of dogs barking from the street below. The pitter-patter of the rain still gently tapping upon the rooftop above your heads. It is the next day. You've all achieved a long rest. You can hear the bustle of people on the main floor of the Rock Powder Inn. And one by one, you each make your way down to the main room where there is a group of people you recognize from the previous night. Father Marco, Milton Wallace, his wife. You see Olaf Tollefson. You see a couple of unfamiliar faces, a young gnomish boy who reaches out and shakes your hands as you come down, introducing himself. My name's Tam Greenberg. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for what you did last night. It's a bloody awful mess. We have to go back out there and recover what's left of the bodies, but my name's Tam. A pleasure to meet you. He shakes your hand rather enthusiastically, each of you, as if he is maybe a little bit, not starstruck, but he understands the heroism of your knight's battle the previous night.
Was that Knowles? Did anyone else hear barking?
They're barking.
No, those are Dabney's dogs. You see Milton Wallace come over, and he's got some fresh fruits and some baked bread that he's putting out on the table in front of you. Dabney's dogs, Kaiser, Bilbo, and Spot, hounds. We figure that perhaps they'll be able to help us with the search. Please have some food. The townsfolk intend to set out soon. I apologize for not waking you, but I figured that you needed your rest after everything last night.
Thanks for thinking of us in that way. We really did put a lot of effort in yesterday.
Thanks, Greyhawk. Mike?
Did anything strange happen while we were asleep? Did anybody get attacked? Was there anything out of the ordinary?
Everyone seems to be accounted for. You look out the window, Alrin, and you can see Father Marco is out there. You can see Dabney with, there are indeed 3 dogs that look like they're ready to roll. They're kind of like wagging tails, barking at Dabney. You see the gnomish woman with the gray hair standing out in the street as well. There's about 8 people total that are out in the street, plus the 3 dogs.
What is happening right now? There's barking dogs and everybody's gathering together. What are you all planning on doing?
Well, they're heading to the quarry to see if they can recover what might be left of the bodies.
And we all think that's a good idea?
Sounds like you may not. Do you have a different counsel?
It's very dangerous, and we're not sure we got all the wolves. Is it still misty out?
You look outside and it's wet. It's rainy. There's a mist.
I mean, do you think we should go with them?
I do. We don't know what's gonna happen if they go out by themselves. It could be another Ernie and whatever the other guy's name was. Yeah.
Phil. Yeah.
Right.
Phil.
Yeah. If there was just one wolf left out there, they're going to be in trouble.
I think everyone would feel better if you did join them, but of course we We have very little by way of payment to hire you to do so, and Sergeant Dalton and his men have straight up refused to go.
Why, is that the tax collector?
Aye, it is, yes.
I mean, I think we'll be happy to join you. Payment not required to go down and help retrieve what's rightfully retrieved.
And that's just nonsense. You hear as this small gnomish woman walks in the door. She says, I have a number of trinkets that I would be willing to part with for your continued assistance. You've already done so much.
What kind of trinkets? What have you got?
All kinds of things at my shop.
Shop here? I
Kinds of
thought it was just houses and sheep.
Oh
a trinket
dear.
shop?
It's called the Greenberg Surprise. Indeed it is. I find things, clean them up, and well, some of them are even useful.
Well, I am surprised.
You
I'm
look
ready to be
surprised, dear.
surprised.
That's the first time I've seen you smile all morning. Please, this is a dreadful business, but we must have hope. We must have hope that we will find enough of old Ernie and Phil, at least to bury in the cemetery. Some sort of closure would be nice to have. And there's still Dennis. Dennis
there?
is out there somewhere, perhaps.
No.
See, is that
I mean,
the first
yes,
one that
but
went missing?
not.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of whether you intend to go, I do offer you a trinket from my store. If before you leave town, whenever that might be, please stop by and well, you can have your pick, really.
I mean, I
very
guess
generous.
we'd be happy to go out with the villagers after breakfast if that's fine, as long as everyone has their strength for the morning. Perhaps some coffee to rev everybody up.
That sounds good.
Oh, I could put some coffee on, says Milton.
No
Well,
need.
Would you like to
Or-
try something else?
Oh?
All right.
Give them the story.
Do you have cups or you don't have cups?
This is a tavern, dear. We have plenty of cups. Yes, let me get
All
some.
right. Get some cups, and then Xanthi will pull out the endless carafe of coffee that she's been keeping and using for prestidigitation and weird manipulations, and she will pour several dozen flagons of steaming hot cups of coffee, and then she'll be like, "Does anyone want it iced?"
Iced
No, all
coffee?
right.
Medium roast.
Not that kind of day today.
It is a little cold
Yes.
and rainy out.
Hot coffee would be good.
All right. Stop her back in.
You start
Put it
pouring the
back in bag
coffee in
holding.
the various mugs as you're filling them up, and you hear the door swing open again, and you turn to look, and it's old Dabney Hackett, and he walks in. Well, I smelled coffee in here, and I could use a cup of that. Is there another cup available?
Yes.
Hot damn! Whew. Let's
It
get
is
some
a
coffee in
tavern.
here.
Yeah, help yourself.
Wow, thank you very kindly.
It's Golden Shears coffee. Tell your friends.
Takes a big sip. Oh, that's piping hot. He grabs a piece of the bread, tears off a chunk of it, puts it in his mouth, and walks back outside. Oh, we're ready to go when you are.
I guess after we get a couple of bites of food in, we can go.
Yeah. Should we get a wagon or something? Like at least a wheelbarrow? for the pile of flesh that we will bring back?
Already taken care of, dear, but perhaps, temper the descriptive words around the townsfolk. These are their loved ones, after all.
Well, you know, sometimes it's good to have expectations.
I believe the expectations are quite low at this point. Quite low. But nevertheless, off we pop. And Susie walks out the door as she pulls her cloak tight, pulls the hood over her head, and walks out. And as the doors open, you look out and watch her leave, and you can see that there is a wagon with a single pony pulling it.
Let's go.
All right, any other preparations that you want to make before joining this party of townsfolk?
Xanthe casts Mage Armor Extended.
Okay.
Extended release.
That's right.
For
all day protection.
Yeah, no, Dez is just gonna kind of bundle up a little extra because it's still raining.
Nori doesn't mind the rain. She'll just take it. She's ready to go. She's a tough farm girl.
All right. So you...
Press the digitation to warm up whoever needs to be warmed up.
Very well. Portable space heater is in action. Very cool. All right, so you set out, you join with the townsfolk. There's about 8 of them, as I mentioned, and 3 dogs. The dogs are extremely agitated and ready to hunt. They are bloodhounds. They are barking, and they are raring to go. What's up, Dennis? Thank you for the resub. Appreciate it, buddy. It takes the better part of an hour on this wet, muddy road headed south out of Emerity. The cloud cover overhead still obscuring any semblance of blue sky. The sunshine straining to pierce through the veil. It's difficult to tell any sort of change in the mists in this place because, of course, the last time you were out this way, it was in the middle of the night, and now it is in the, I would say, mid-morning hours of the day. With the search party, you scour the landscape, looking for signs of the remains of the companions. At some point, the wagon can no longer traverse the rocky terrain. You can see now that you kind of catch the glimpse of this space, and it's these large bluffs, these limestone bluffs that are terraced and rise up 20, 30, 40 feet in the air as the canyons themselves kind of weave in a downward trajectory into the depths of these buttes. Everybody give me a survival check real quick.
Five.
24.
Ooh, the thunder is getting crazy outside my real house here.
22.
3.
Well, those of you that rolled above a 5,
If it meets, it beats. I rolled a 5.
did you roll a 6?
Oh, he rolled a 5.
So those of you that rolled above a 5, you easily begin to retrace your steps. Using instinct, perhaps a little bit of recall of features on the landscape that suggests that you've been in this place before. The others seem to also know the area fairly well. This is the old quarry, after all. Place that used to drive much of the local economic activity before the quarry dried up for the most part. You guys do a really good job of sticking together, although at some point it was Desmond and who also rolled really low. Desmond and Alrin seem to get sort of separated momentarily from the group, but not out of eyesight, not out of earshot. You do a pretty good job of making sure that nobody wanders too far. I mean, the four of you are well aware of the dangers that potentially lie ahead. You scan the others, and without even needing to roll an insight check, you definitely get the sense that they are not adventurers. These are common townsfolk, well-meaning, stout of heart perhaps, and heroic in their own way, but certainly not trained fighters. You overhear some conversation about how they used to have a militia, that there used to be young folk that stuck around to work the mines, to provide services, a smith, furrier, etc. But most of those people have gone to the big city where there's jobs and opportunity. And as a result, there's really no militia. That's why Sergeant Dalton, who you start to hear some things about this Dalton guy being a real asshole, a bully, but someone who is, what's the word I'm looking for? Tolerated because of the fact that they brandish swords. They have swords on their belts. They potentially provide some level of security. And they can be kept at bay, manipulated, so to speak, by food and drink. You get the sense that the fog is subsiding as the day goes on. You can hear the crunch of gravel below your boots as you continue to weave your way deeper into these bluffs. And then the dogs go completely wild, barking, howling, baying, and you watch as Dabney struggles to hold on to him, and then he says, "I'm gonna let him loose." And he cuts them loose, and they just take off down the canyon, this narrow canyon, just barking and howling. And he turns and he just starts running after him. The rest of the townsfolk start going. Susie Greenberg, the little gnomish woman, is a little bit slower, and she's like, "Well, I guess that's where we go then." And so she kind of takes off, looking back at you, Nori, making her way into these canyons as the rest of the party is running ahead. I assume the four of you follow? Perhaps not.
I think try to overtake so they're not the first ones there. We are.
Okay, give me an athletics check if you'd like to do that.
That's what I would do.
Okay.
Natural 20.
Oh, hey-oh.
Those little legs are going. So that's
yeah, they are pumping.
21.
Nice. Yeah, you sprint ahead as Susie kind of gives you that look, and you're like, okay, and you take off running. You're able to, you certainly don't catch up with the dogs, but you catch up with Dabney. And is anybody else also trying to keep up with Nori?
I'd run.
Okay, give me an athletics
we're all
check.
caffeinated here.
Right, yeah. Give me an athletics check then, Alrin.
19.
Okay, yeah, you're able to also catch up with Dabney. What about Xanthi and Desmond? What are you two doing? Kind of hanging towards the back, trying to get up front?
Des is just going to hang back a little bit just to make sure that people aren't getting left behind once people start running off in one direction.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. No need to roll that. You keep an eye on people. Nobody seems to be trailing behind. Even some of the folks who are a little bit older, like Susie, and Olafson, Olaf Tollefson, excuse me. Olaf, he's slower. He's an older fella. Certainly Dabney is old too, but he seems spry on his feet, and he maybe working with the dogs has kept him young. But yeah, you keep an eye on people, Desmond, and nobody seems to fall behind as you're making your way through these canyons, following the very obvious trail of the rest of the group racing ahead. What about Xanthi?
I'll stick with Des.
Okay.
I don't feel good about getting separated in this area.
Understood. Alrin and Nori, as you catch up to Dabney, you see the dogs are on point, barking, tails wagging. They are all surrounding what appears to be a tree, an old gnarled tree. You step forward as Dabney leashes the dogs and tries to pull them back a little bit, trying to get them under control. You can see what appears to be parts of one of the victims of last night's horrible events. A body in parts sprawled across a patch of blood-stained rocks near the base of a tree, almost as if it was tucked up against the tree or under the roots. You can see the eyes are wide open and there's a look of sheer terror frozen on the face. And you can see claw marks across the chest, flayed skin. And as you're standing there, the young gnome Tad kind of steps up alongside you. And he says, "That's Ernest, all right."
Let's get something to cover him up until we get the wagon up here. Not everyone needs to see this.
All right, you grab a blanket out of your pack.
Mm-hmm.
As you're laying it over him, give me a quick perception check. And Alrin, if you're helping, you could give me a perception check as well. At this point, the rest of the group is catching up as the blanket's being laid over, and Xanthi and Desmond, you step forward from behind the rest of the group, and you can see Alrin and Nori laying this blanket
20.
over him. Dirty 20. How about you, Alrin?
21.
We are very perceptive. 18.
So Alrin, as you are laying the blanket over Ernie's body, you notice a marking on his hand. And you hesitate for just a minute. And Nori, you notice the hesitation and then look down and you also see a familiar mark on Ernie's hand. A tattoo.
Yeah. Who hesitated when they saw it?
Alrin did.
Okay.
Do you cover him up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Tad kind of helps you, and I'm going to roll for him a quick insight.
Shoot a knowing glance at Alrin.
He kind of looks over and he says, what is it? He sees you like hesitating with the blanket.
Was just thinking about how this happened. It was a lot of overwhelming feelings.
Did I catch up yet? Or am I still over the hill? Okay. Oh my gosh, was some of him in a tree? What? How? Squirrels?
Dave,
Okay. Oh, does that mean we missed some?
yeah, I was going to ask, would Des remember if this is kind of like near the area where, I'm sorry, was it Ernie got attacked? Like, we wouldn't know. Okay. Mhm. Okay. So this could have happened the previous, like the night before. Like, okay.
Well, and again, we left him and then had another battle, so it could have been moved in between that.
Or it
So-
could have been afterwards.
That's true too.
We don't know at all.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna make like I'm doing like a little bit of a prayer. What I'm actually doing is minor illusion to hide the mark. And I'm happy to roll a deception check if you'd like. Jeff said he can't. Dave, Jeff said he can't hear you.
Sorry, Jeff. He says that tattoo bothers you. Ernie always hated that tattoo. Said it was some kind of curse that maybe he got back in Verbo, I suppose, years ago. Poor bastard. You guys cover up the body. It gets loaded into a bit of like a litter so that they can drag it back to where the cart is.
Nori
that's-
would indicate to Des too that because I don't know if he showed up in time to know that tattoo is there. I would
What's
him
the
know,
tattoo
like,
of?
point on his hand.
I think Shelly just froze.
Did
He
it
did.
freeze, Shelly? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
sometimes
can
her
hear ya.
picture
We can't see
freezes,
you.
but she can still talk to us. Are you there?
Do I move?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
You're back.
There you
Hopefully,
are.
just a quick little glitch.
The goblins got us again.
Yep, they sure did.
Mm.
Can Des see the tattoo?
Not unless Alrin drops the illusion that he put on it.
Oh,
It-
I see.
That
Okay.
just lasts for a couple minutes.
That'll last
So-
for an hour.
Nori would just do a little. It doesn't seem like we need to do it now, but I would just do like a hand. I'd do a hand to Des, and I'd point right here. If
Minor
that's where it
illusion
is.
just lasts for a minute.
Oh, I thought prestidigitation would last for an
I
hour.
didn't do that.
Okay.
Good looking out, though. All right, so yeah, Desmond, the answer to your question is yes, you can see it. As the blanket is being pulled down over the body. That's one of them.
All right. Well, I guess the other one can't be too far from here.
Over here! You hear someone yell from nearby. And you look over and you can see that Father Marco is standing just 20 feet away from where you are. It's hard to imagine that you even missed it, but you did nonetheless.
Yeah, go over there.
You walk over there and
Put Phil.
all you see is a chest and one arm. The head is gone, severed right at the shoulders. Susie kind of stands next to you as you look down.
Nori wants to look at the tracks right around it. Is it all wolf tracks?
Yes, there are wolf tracks all over the ground in this area.
That's all though.
They appear to be mostly washed from the rainfall. Give me a survival check, Nori.
I would like to help her. Are those fresh or are they from a day ago?
Give me a survival check, Xanthi.
I got a 22.
Okay.
Five. This is why I said I wanted to help her.
Nori, you can tell that these are not fresh tracks from like this morning, since the rain has let up slightly. If they had been fresh tracks, they would be well imprinted. They would be well formed. It looks like they've been pummeled with rainfall, worn away, but nevertheless, you can see the telltale sign of the 5 pads and the claws in the wet earth around the base of this pile of Philip.
Right, well, we have a better idea about when it happened. Let's put him, what's left of him, in the wagon.
Yep. Susie procures a burlap sack, and a couple of the fellas come over and help to transfer what's left of Philip into the litter as well. And that's when you hear and the dogs are going wild again. Spot and Bilbo and Kaiser. Dabney looks over and he cuts them loose again. He says, "There's something else." And they start running after the dogs again.
Where are they all runners?
Nori will give chase.
Yep.
This time it's fairly easy to keep up with Dabney, and you find yourselves weaving your way back into the area where the little pond is, where the mining equipment was, where you fought the werewolves. You can see the carnage of the dead dire wolves on the ground. You can see the 2 bodies of the man and the woman laying as you had placed them the night before. They look almost serene, though dirty, naked, wounds on their bodies. There's a bit of hesitation from the townsfolk as they sort of pell-mell, sort of blunder into this opening, this flat, rocky area.
Yeah, those are werewolves.
I assume the direwolf corpses are also around, because
Yep. The wolf corpses are laying there as well, where you put them down. And interestingly enough, as you are standing there explaining sort of what happened the night previous, you hear a "ma, ma." You hear a sheep. And you turn and look, and you see this single terrified looking sheep with these spiral horns that come to blunt points at the base of their neck. And it just seems to be saying there, the dogs go wild, and Dabney is able to put the leashes on them and hold them back and calm them down. And the sheep is just kind of standing next to an overturned minecart.
Nori will try to bring the sheep over with her previous sheep training from her early days.
Given
She
the
has 50
terrified state of this sheep, give me a animal handling check.
She's
What were
got
you-
some rope in her bag too that she'll use.
Okay.
If,
Get
she
a lasso.
Can. Well, you know. Gosh, these
Lariat.
days are hot tonight. That's a dirty 20.
Oh.
Who's a sheep handler?
Tell me how you approach the sheep to gather it up, to calm it down.
I approach the sheep not making eye contact.
Never
From the
make eye
side.
contact with the sheep.
No, don't let them know.
Everybody
you know
knows
they're
that.
there. And I'm slowly pulling the rope out of my bag, not looking, making calming noises with my voice. And as I inch closer sideways, I will slip the rope over their their neck.
It gets a sense of you, sheep sense.
Mhm,
And
sheep.
it sort of, it walks forward.
That's a good sheep. Come back with me. You're safe now.
You hear a metal ding, ding from inside the overturned minecart.
Look inside.
A couple of people move over to the minecart and they're with you looking to pull it back and flip it open. And as they do, they pull it back, rolling it onto its side. You see this man laying hidden, as it were, underneath the minecart, his eyes darting around. Father Marco, Dennis, by St. Cuthbert's grace, you're alive.
Damned.
My God.
He's.
That was unexpected.
How long have you been in there?
I don't know. I was following the blood trail with Curtis. We got separated in that damnable fog, and it was so thick I could barely see my own hands. I heard voices. They led me here. That terrible voices calling me. They knew my name.
Voices.
I couldn't resist them. I followed them here. He takes a breath and he's kind of like catching his breath, and Susie comes over and like puts a blanket over his shoulders. He's soaking wet. He's muddy. I wandered lost for what felt like hours. Then I saw it, or maybe it saw me. Just lying there on a pile of rocks, mesmerizing, beautiful. I felt compelled to take it. But as soon as I touched it, I heard a growl. Closer this time, and I ran, and I ended up here, the old quarry, and I pulled this cart over the top of me, and the damn thing's heavy. I couldn't get back out. I can't imagine what would have happened if you hadn't turned up. I could have been stuck under there for quite some time. I could hear Lucy calling. I was
Lucy.
unable to do anything. Oh, the sheep. Yes. Oh, little Lucy. And the sheep that's tethered, Nori, kind of comes up and starts nuzzling him a little bit, and he kind of like scratches it, gives it some scritches.
I'll hand
Says-
him the rope.
As you do that, he holds something up. He holds up a crystal. He says, it called to me, this thing. I don't know what it is. I can't shake the feeling that it's cursed, and I don't want this near me any longer. This is not mine.
Are you still hearing anything?
No, but the voices told me that this belongs to someone named Nori.
That's me.
Oh, take it then. I don't want this anymore. And he holds it up.
Oh,
Not with your bare hands. Use the
I
gloves
already have
gave
it.
you. God damn it.
I have those gloves on. I mean, we're out in the rain.
Give me an investigation check, please, Nori.
Putting it in my hand.
You see why I had to give them gloves already?
Oh no.
I see.
Those gloves are clutch.
That's
Just
a 3.
Okay.
There's
This thing-
running, there's grabbing of cursed items.
Just give me this.
So
It
my
looks-
Oh, my
purpose.
face.
It looks familiar to you, this crystal. Rough hewn on one side, smooth on the other, almost as if it's been polished or worked. And even through what are these, crocheted gloves? I can't remember. Were they crocheted?
No, they're leather.
Crochet.
The leather
They're
gloves.
that are embroidered with the image of a golden set of shears
Oh, yeah.
on
That's right.
the inside.
Even despite these amazingly crafted gloves, you feel that this crystal is unnaturally cold in your hand. It almost seems to vibrate. You look over at Dennis and he looks at you with his eyes big and says, "It wasn't doing that before."
Nori, do you know what that is?
looks kind of familiar. Does it look like the stone that's on my sword?
Could be.
I will summon it and look at the sword.
You summon the sword, and you do not remember this before noticing this, but there is another socket on the pommel of the sword, opposite the side of where the first crystal was socketed.
This
Convenient.
This wasn't here before. Should I put it on?
I look close at it before she puts it in, just because I'm curious.
It's
Do you
very
want me
cold.
to identify this one as well?
Maybe that would be smart first.
Okay, well, put it in your pocket maybe, and then we'll... Or you want me to do it right now?
I want you to do it right now.
Okay. Put it on the ground.
I'll send the sword back to the extra planar place and put it on the ground in front of Xanthi. I'll turn to Dennis and say, I'm sorry, this is something we have to do right away. It's very
I
important to me.
feel better already that it's no longer in my possession.
Does Dennis look strong enough to move the cart onto himself to protect himself?
Possibly.
Could I give him a cursory check over, just checking to make sure he's healthy? I'll warm him up, I'll use my spell, but I want to see if he's got any bite marks.
Sure, give me a medicine check. Xanthi, are you going to cast Identify?
I am with my last inspiration. I'm going to use it to identify this object. I'm going to take out my pair of gloves from the bag of holding, so I don't have bare hands, and I will inspect the gem and cast my 1-a-day Identify.
Okay, give me an Arcana check, please.
Lori's pacing, not 5 feet from you, waiting for results.
Okay, I got a 19.
Okay. As this is happening, because this takes some time, the townsfolk who are there, Father Marco Terriel, Susie Greenberg, the others are, they are more than relieved to find Dennis alive. They are, there are hugs, there are, ruffling of the hair, that kind of stuff. They're trying to keep him as warm as possible, and also keep him away from the bloody burlap sack and blanket that currently bundles some additional less fortunate members of the community. We'll come back to you in a minute, Xanthi. Alrin, what did you get for your medicine check?
I got a 13.
Okay. Based on what you can see as you kind of give him a cursory once over, any exposed body, like his arms, his neck, his face, he does not look like he has been injured. There does not appear to be any blood on his clothing. It is torn in places. And as you inspect the holes, it looks as though perhaps they were caught on branches or underbrush, that kind of thing, as he was running, as he mentioned, through this place.
But
Best you can tell,
werewolves only had injuries that we would have given them to, I guess, right? We didn't see any bite marks on them.
Correct. Best you can tell, he does not have any werewolf-inflicted or wolf-inflicted wounds that he's dealing with at the moment.
Right.
Recently.
I'm gonna keep an eye on him.
Okay. Smart. Xanthi, you rolled a 19 on your identification. You get a strong sense that this crystal harbors multiple magical influences, but the strongest school of magic that you are feeling as you cast your identification spell is that of abjuration. It appears as though this crystal may have some sort of protective quality to it.
Okay. Do I get any feeling of, I don't know, dark magic, necromancy, or other scary vibes off of it?
Not that you detect through your detect magic. You get a little bit of divination elements of it. It does look creepy as fuck. I mean, this thing, as you inspect it, it has that very similar cloudy, almost, if you stare too long at it, it seems like maybe there's some shadow that almost moves with inside the crystal, very much like the other crystal that was found by Nori.
Hey, Nori, you have any other family members that you're missing? No reason.
Well, no, don't say that. Why are you asking me that?
Well, if you look too closely, it kind of looks like there's a shadow in here. And isn't that what you said about the other one?
Could be the same person, though.
What do you mean by shadow people? This is Susie Greenberg, as she's sort of like been listening to your conversation and watching your display of magic. What is this that you speak of?
I'm dealing with some stuff with my family. It's a really, really long story, but there's some questions that I need answered, and it deals with some of this shadowy stuff here.
Enough
You don't have
said,
anything
dear.
in your shop that could help me, do you?
I don't mean to pry.
It's okay.
I may have something.
You have more of these crystals?
Oh no, nothing like this.
Okay.
Just have.
Des is, sorry.
Go ahead.
Des is going to go up to Dennis. Can you show us where you found this crystal? How far away was it?
It was. I'm sorry. I don't remember. I was running and running and.
I mean, did you just find it on the ground? Or
it was
sitting on something?
set upon a pile of rocks.
Just out in the open?
I don't remember. I felt as though I was led to it. Do you understand? Like I was meant to find it, and then meant to give it to you. He looks at Nori. What does it mean?
Checks. I don't know yet, but it's important.
How would they know you? What are they? And Susie comes over. She's like, now, Dennis, you're tired. You're hungry. We need to get you back to town. Boys, it's time we left this place. What of the wolves and these bodies here? Should we burn them all? Susie kind of looks over at the four of you.
It's probably a good idea. Just burn them.
Yeah, I could, cast some firebolts or something if we had maybe a little extra kindling to get it started.
Well, I've got a flask of some high-powered moonshine we could pour on them. That might help.
Oh yeah, that'll go right up.
All right then, you heard them. Let's pile the bodies, everyone. Come here, Dennis. Sit. Let me look at you. And Susie kind of brings Dennis to the side and sits him down while many of the other individuals of the group, maybe including yourselves, pull the carcasses of the wolves and the two humans who lay next to each other, almost in a kind of a strangely tragic romantic repose. Dabney comes over with his flask as you're all kind of standing there, and he uncorks it and he takes a big old swig. Woo! And then he holds it over to Nori.
I mind.
Well,
It
don't drink
is.
it all. We
Big
gotta
swig.
burn some
Very
wolves.
strong. It is like, yeah, it is like remove paint.
You are not
Strong.
kidding. Remove brain cells. Thanks. I needed.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah. All right, now everybody step back. And he sprinkles it on the pile of evil.
Xanthe will take 10 steps back from the pile and start just letting off firebolts at it.
Just goes up in a huge ball of flame, and people step back and then step back again as these dark billowing clouds come off of the carcass. It just smells like burnt hair and burnt
Ugh.
flesh.
Gross.
That's bad.
Or we should stay and make sure it burns thoroughly before we leave, says Dabney.
Did you use
Um,
all of that alcohol?
Man, I got another nipper. He reaches in and pulls it out. He uncorks it, hands it to you. He's got a second flask.
I turn away from the group and take a really big drag. Give it back.
Give me a con save.
Oh, jeez. I have the stone in my hand too.
Liquor and stone.
Con save. 13.
Yeah. You feel a little lightheaded, but you know, given the circumstances, it's a welcome sort of reprieve from the seriousness of the situation.
We're taking the edge off here.
Yep. You hand the flask back to him. The pile of werewolf and wolf carcasses burns to a sufficient level after 40 minutes or so. Dennis has been provided with some food. The dogs have been rewarded with some treats. They seem to be happier than hell, their tails wagging. Dabney seems a little tipsy as he's been taking a few nips. And as everybody prepares to leave, Susie's sticking really close to Dennis and kind of helping him along as he's still a bit shaky. But you see him crack a smile at some point as if he feels some relief, you know, that he's been recovered. Is there anything else that the four of you would like to do as the main bulk of the group sort of like disappears down the canyon at a nice easy pace, heading back towards the main roadway? The four of you are left for a moment.
Now that they're there during the daylight, and while they're burning the bodies, Des is going to walk around kind of like a perimeter, not too far, but just see if he can see any sign of like if the werewolves had some sort of den or place they were living somewhere around here.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Like
just
any
in
other
this
sign
in
of
this
them?
basic vicinity, you really don't see like a lair of sorts. But if you want to give me a quick investigation check, that might help.
That would be a dirty 20.
Okay. As you are walking the perimeter of this opened area, this is where the quarry was. So you've got the collapsed mine shaft or exploration shaft. You've got the old tracks that sort of wrap around the base of the bluffs. You've got old rusted mining equipment, shovels and pickaxes, rusted mine carts that are toppled over and broken. Basically, it looks like whoever ran this company just sort of pulled stakes and left. You know, when the resources ran out or the price for the limestone coming out of here was not high enough to sustain any sort of profit margin. You do find not a lair, not a cave, not a hideout, but you do find another pile of what you can only ascertain as I'll say more than one, possibly more than two sheep that are bloodied and torn apart. The first thing you see is sort of the hair and then you see a little bit of blood splattered, and you see then like a pile again, as if these wolves had cached their prey beneath a pile of rocks in a little small indentation at the foot of the bluff to kind of hide their food. And if you have any sort of like nature background, you might know that that's what carnivores, predators will oftentimes do, is they'll stash their food and come back to it. But that's it.
Okay. Yep. He'll head back to the group.
All right. How about the rest of you? Is there anything else that you want to do?
Super suspicious that that guy survived all this, and also that he was drawn to
mean-
that thing. I think, like, doesn't that mean he was enchanted or something? And she's gonna say this so that the townspeople can't busybody it over here.
I mean, maybe that's why he survived. Is it like
Well,
A job
helped
to
hide
do.
him? Maybe.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I did get a feeling off of it. It had something to do with protective magic on it. So it might not be bad, but it definitely is the same flavor of whatever the other one was. And do have some bad feelings about that one.
Well, the other one is, it's got
You've
good
had
and
the
bad.
other one for a while, right?
Yeah, but her eyes go black now that she uses it.
But I get cool armor. It
When
also
did you
protects
pick up
me.
when did you pick up the other shard, Nori?
I picked up the other shard.
In the dream
it
realm,
was in.
right?
It was before we got to Verbo, so
It was
I think
during
it
the
was
transport.
probably- yep.
Yep.
Right as we went
It
through
was
the thing.
It was when you went through the portal, you were diverted to that sort of interdimensional plane. It
I said
looks
dream realm, but I don't know.
just the same. It looks just the same as the one, very similar at least. Slightly different shape, perhaps.
I'm gonna put it on my sword, you guys. I mean,
In for a penny, in for a pound.
pound
Can't
it
get any
is.
more cursed, right?
Mm. Okay, I turn away. I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Nori, as you
think you
slot
do
the
something,
crystal
by the way.
into your sword, you feel an immediate surge of dark energy that courses through the blade. It vibrates and hums. The rest of you can hear it. The sword glows with this intense shadowy light, and you watch as these tendrils of darkness begin to snake out from the crystal, wrapping themselves around your hand, your arm, engulfing your body, shadows pulsing and writhing, creating like this cocoon around you from the outside. The rest of you watch as these dark wisps of shadow and mist are drawn from various locations around this clearing, almost as if they are adhering to Nori, writhing like snakes as they form this mass around her. She quickly disappears from view. The air grows cold and the sky darkens above you. You hear this crash of thunder. Even though it's midday, you feel like you're standing in this sort of eerie twilight. Inside this shadowy encapsulation, Nori, you feel the presence, a powerful presence. But it feels at first terrifying, but then you sense a benevolence, a gentleness, like a heavy blanket. Darkness everywhere. You hear this soothing voice echoing in your mind, resonating with a sense of motherliness. But it's not your mother. It's a different voice. You recognize it. It's the matron. Swordbearer, my brave Nori. You can hear this sort of blend of warmth and authority. You have wielded Orvan's Gladius with unmatched skill, honor, surpassing even that of your brother. Perhaps it is time to accept your past and face your future. Is that what you want, Nori? Are you ready?
What is my future?
That is for you
Am I
to
your
discover. You are my sword bearer.
What does that mean?
accept your future, and you shall find out.
What does it have to do with my brother? Can you at least tell me that?
So much has been kept from you, Nori. So much. You are on the right path, coming to me. You have much to learn.
We're headed to the fields, but I hear that it's surrounded with mist. What is this mist? What's happening to these people? Is it going to happen to us?
The mists are an entity unto themselves. They make their own decisions. They enact their own influence. But they can be useful.
How?
The fields of Emredy's meadow. You are on the right track, Nori. You will find the Shadow Crossing. I will see you soon.
But is my brother there?
Yes. You hear this howl of wind, and this strange cocoon-like structure around you dissipates. The rest of you standing there, what are you doing while Nori is encapsulated in this shadow?
Nora gets encapsulated in shadow. I'm like, well, that can't be good.
Dez is slowly backing away. I think we better give her some space.
Are we gonna have to flame her?
Can we see her at all through the
No.
shadow?
Nope. What about you, Alrin? What are you doing?
I'm close to the shadow. I'm keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
It has my full attention. I'm focused, trying to see if I can see anything inside of it.
Gotcha. All right. So as you are backing away, as you are debating whether or not to fling fire, as you are focusing with a keen eye, you watch as the shadow and mist dissipate in an instant. And there on her knees is Nori.
He's still alive, you guys.
What?
What are you talking about? And that was incredibly scary.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Didn't happen last time. We just did it in the hotel room and nothing happened, really. Big
Everything's
like
all
this.
right. You're not hurt or anything.
I'm not hurt.
I'll help Nori up.
I think we're gonna find my brother.
Or you're being lied to by an incredibly powerful entity that is going to steal your soul and put you in a little crystal.
Sandy, don't ruin the moment.
I'm just saying. That
Either
looked
way,
really creepy
Right.
and not like
We'll be
something someone's benefic, I don't know, like nice god would do.
I'm not as good as Dez. If there's a chance that I can find my brother, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. That's why I'm worried for you guys. But we'll see how it goes. I don't know what else to tell you, but
I'm here for it.
I think I might find him. And that's enough for me right now.
What did she say exactly? It was
Did she say where?
In the fields. We have to go to the fields.
yeah, but you asked her if your
fields that
brother
everybody
was
avoid.
alive, and she said yes, or what did she say exactly?
She's very vague with me,
Yeah.
but I will hang on any string she throws to me.
Sure. And I definitely think we should check that out. But if she's being vague and she's not being clear, there might be a loophole, you know?
There's always a loophole, isn't there?
Like a technicality.
There's nothing I can answer right now. I'm riding on this hope. I don't think about technicalities right now, but I'm glad I have you to do that. Sorry, that was scary. I didn't know.
That looked like a curse magic.
We do know about those things. I don't know if it's a curse. You could be right, but it only looked terrible. It didn't feel terrible.
Yeah, you know, like, so this one time, Des and I were fighting, like, in this underground crypt. Oh, I think you were there for this one. I thought that these fungi wanted me to hug them and that we would, like, hang out just for a while, and then it turned out that I was charmed. And they were going to eat me.
I don't feel charmed. I remember that. That was really weird.
But I really thought at the time that we were all good friends.
Sandy, I don't know what you want me to do.
Oh no, I just want you to entertain the idea that maybe what you want to be true might not be true. But I still think we should verify.
I have to verify. If you need to tap out, I get it.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when things sound too good to be true, they're usually too good to be true.
I hope that's not happening here, but there's always a cost, right? It's always a price for things to work out.
Well, the villagers say this place is cursed, and that's where we need to go to find out what's going on, so for better or worse, we're gonna see what happens.
I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Thank you. What are the villagers doing right now?
I was going to say, as you are ending this conversation, you hear a little bit of a rock slide, a couple of rocks rolling down a slope, and you look over and you see young Tam Greenberg, and he's like wide-eyed as he's just been like standing at the entrance to the canyon waiting for you, and saw what you presumably saw what just happened, and is like, are you coming back to town?
If that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Maybe we should go.
Okay. Oh, he's scared of me now.
You should tell him snitches get stitches.
You should go do it, Sandy. I don't want to scare him anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Sure, I'll walk over to that little gnomish kid.
Yeah, young gnomish man.
Yeah, and I'll just
What was that?
you know, I think this is something that we should keep as a secret between just, us adventuring types, because otherwise we wouldn't want the bad guys to win. I'm just gonna snow him that he's like now part of the team.
Yes, I'll go up and clap him on the shoulder. Welcome to the inner circle.
Give me a
It is
persuasion check, Xanthi, with advantage.
Mighty burden.
I
16.
Yeah, inner circle, huh? Yep. All right. He takes a step back. Yep. Well, let's let's go catch up to the rest of them, shall we?
Yeah, we have a duty to protect the others, right?
And he just turns and sort of like fast walks down the canyon.
Come on, our guide is leading us back.
And the four of you follow suit, gathering yourselves up. Nori, as you depart this broad open quarry area, you look back one last time and you can see sort of this mist sort of settling back in to the space as one by one your companions leave the canyon, following young Tam, eventually connecting back with the group as they are loading the wagon, the cart, with what remains of Ernest and Philip. And eventually the four of you, the 8 villagers and Dennis and Lucy, little Lucy, the sheep, the prize sheep, make your way back to the town of Emrity. And that, my friends, is where we are going to take our mid-session break. So, hey, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us as we did a little search and rescue, learned a little bit more about Nori's predicament. And we'll come back in just a couple of minutes. If you like what you're seeing here tonight, please consider supporting the channel by following or subscribing. We take the support that you give us and in turn pass it on to all of the great folks that help to make this happen, including our friends at Tabletop Audio and some solution maps that we're developing for some new games that I'll talk about in just a couple of minutes when we get back. Lots going on in June. We're excited to share that with you, and we will do so when we get back from the break. Thanks a lot, everybody. Really, really appreciate you all. We'll see you shortly. My friends, you make your way back to the town of Emrity with the townsfolk. You've recovered what remains of 2 old shepherds, Ernie and Phil. You unexpectedly found and recovered a live one, little Lucy, the sheep, and her favorite shepherd, Dennis, who had been missing since the night before, having taken up a hiding spot underneath an old minecart. Having also discovered some strange crystal shard, and having been instructed through the whispers of the Shadow Realm to deliver it maybe to someone named Nori. Well, it just so happens we have someone named Nori in our party. Now, Nori, the shard that you have socketed into your weapon, this, what you had once thought to be a ceremonial gladius, crafted by your grandfather, Orvin, one of 5 such swords that were given out to the wardens of the Cron Hills under what you're starting to learn were strange conditions. Perhaps under the bounds of some sort of a deal that were made with the crafter and some strange entity which you may or may not believe to be this power called the Matron that has guided you along your quest since you pledged yourself on the battlefield to be their weapon. Something that you confirmed recently as you were whisked away into some strange shadowy cocoon and had a chance to communicate with the entity itself. But now you find yourselves making your way back as the rain begins to pick back up. Cloud cover set back in over this region along the banks of the Velverdiva River, just south of the river itself, a town called Emerity, which itself is just north by not more than a half day to a day's journey from the fateful Emerty's Meadow, where 10 years previous, a epic battle between good and evil was fought, Nori having been part of that, Desmond's family having been part of that. You are now back in the Powder Rock Inn, having been fed meals. Many of the search party members are there with you, sitting around, including Tam, the young, wide-eyed and somewhat frightened and intimidated young gnomish boy, the son of Susie Greenberg of Greenberg's Surprise. My friends, what would you like to do as you find yourselves warming and drying yourself in front of a fireplace inside of the Rock Powder Inn?
Did Susie say something about a trinket for this?
And that she had something similar to that stone, or that reminded her of that stone back at her place.
I mean, we could go there right now, or we could... Do you guys want to go there right now?
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. I kind of wonder what it is.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
you
gonna do the same thing.
Yeah. So you, just to clarify, she didn't say that she had a crystal, but she did say that she had trinkets. And so you finish your meal and head over to this small, nondescript, there's no sign. The shop's exterior is adorned with sort of a mishmash of colorful trinkets and baubles that dangle from the eaves, but there's no like sign or anything like that. But certainly, having asked Milton Wallace, the proprietor of the Rock Powder Inn, he directs you to Greenberg's Surprise is the name of this little venture of Susie's. You can see there's a small display window with a bunch of oddities and curiosities, polished stones, carved figurines, and the like. It doesn't look like anyone has been in this place for quite some time, but as you approach, you see a small figure from the darkness come forward and the door swings open, and it's Susie Greenberg, this rather elderly gnomish woman, diminutive in figure. She has the weathered face, of course, and she's got her gray hair is pulled back in a messy bun, and she's got like stray strands that are trying to escape, kind of framing her twinkling eyes. You get a sense that she's happy to see you. She has changed out of her wet clothing and has more of a shopkeep look to her. She's got an apron on. She's got a ribbon in her hair. She moves with a sprightly energy, and she welcomes you inside. Oh, come in. Yes, please. Welcome to Greenberg's Surprise. And she sort of waves her hand ceremoniously. You look inside and you can see that there's sort of like this thick odor of like spices, maybe like pungent spices, kind of a must. Maybe like, when you crack an old book that's been sitting on a shelf for a long time, it's got sort of like that parchment-like musk to it. And you get these different sensory cues as you walk in that there is a lot of stuff in here that is old, maybe useful, maybe not. But she waves you in. Come in out of the rain. Yes. Welcome to my shop. I stand by what I said earlier. There are a number of things here that I would be happy to gift you for what you've done for our community.
Susie, specifically, what we were talked about when I had that stone and the shadows and mystery. What did you have that you thought would help me?
But I do have, I have 2 potions, one of which I think could be quite helpful to you. She kind of shuffles her way back to a back table in this shop around some of the heavily laden shelving. And you look around and you can see there's a little flickering lantern that casts shadows across the wall, and you can see the shelves, and there's all sorts of things on them. Baubles and trinkets of all kinds. She tells you, I listen to the song of the river and spend quite a bit of time along its banks, and ever so often the river grants me some sort of a small token, a small treasure, a surprise, that I then bring here, clean up, and cherish, like all of the other things. Some of them have meaning, some of them, the meaning is unknown to me, but certainly I believe that at one time they held importance to others. Please, sit. And she kind of gestures towards a couple of stools. She reaches behind this cabinet, and she pulls out of the cabinet a potion that she sets down on the table. It's blue, and it's got bubbles inside of it, as if it's almost boiling. This was a strange one I found in a crate that was broken. Other glass vials of similar make all shattered. This one, the only that survived. I have ascertained that it is a potion of heroism, that it could guide you in a moment of need. And I have this as well, and she pulls out another small pink vial, which you immediately recognize as a potion of healing. I believe that these would be quite helpful to you. I have other things. Should you be interested?
Yeah, sure. Bring them out. Show us what you got.
Okay.
It's raining outside. Hopefully everything that was killing people is done.
Yes.
Look at things
Yes. Hopefully.
that have other histories too.
Here's something that may or may not be useful, but it's quite beautiful. And she pulls out this polished river stone that seems to be strung upon a simple leather cord. She says, "This is the Riverstone pendant, I call it. I believe that it is lucky. perhaps bringing luck to those who wear it. I have not tested this theory, of course, but it is quite beautiful. And you look at it, it's got blues and oranges that are vibrant, speckled with like these white crystals inside of it. It's quite beautiful. It's about the size of a coin. And she says, oh, this is quite nice. And she lifts up this large seashell and she drops it down or sets it down on the table. It has intricate carvings, almost like a scrimshod sort of design to it. And she says, I believe that this has some sort of protective effect against evil spirits. And also you can hear the ocean if you hold it to your ear. Quite entertaining and quite beautiful. You can see the intricate carvings and you look at it and it has just beautiful designs all over it. And then she says, there's no question that this next item is quite lucky. And she pulls out a rabbit's foot. And it is on a small silver chain. The chain doesn't look like it's worth very much, nor does the rabbit's foot, but she seems quite pleased with it. She says, what else? Oh, this might be of interest. She pulls out this forked branch of a tree. She says, have you heard of a divining rod, dear? This...
No.
What does... It finds things?
Indeed. This willow tree branch is said to find the nearest source of potable water. In a time of need, should you need to find clean and pure water, it is said to be quite effective.
Handy.
Here, and she pulls out a small handful of river stones that are polished to a shimmering glow. Flat rather than circular or spherical. And she says, these are mainly really good for skipping across the water, but they're quite beautiful as well. Oh, and for you, you're a bit of a performer, the lutist, yes? This might be of interest to you. And she pulls out a simple looking flute that is crafted from river reeds. She says, I value this quite a bit. It was discovered along the banks of the river, much like many of the items here in my shop. And it does produce a unique sound. Would you care to play it?
I would indeed.
She holds it forward for you to take. You begin to play the flute, and is flute like one of the things that you intrinsically know how to play? I mean, you're a bard. You can pick things up. Okay, yeah.
It is. I have flute, lute, and viol.
So you have some skill with the flute, and this flute, although simple in design and material, doesn't look all that interesting, but it has a beautiful resonance to it. Haunting, beautiful tone. It's almost like perfect tone. And as you finish your little test run with it, she just kind of claps. Oh, very nice indeed. And then she reaches down and she pulls out this little pouch, and it's got this leather strap around it that she undoes, and she opens it up, and you look inside and you can see that there's this greenish powder inside. She says, I believe this to be called the veil powder. It is said, although I have not tried, it is said to shield the mind from nightmares for a period of time. It looks as though perhaps it's been used by the previous owner, as there's likely only one use left. And then she looks over at Desmond and she says, I think I have something that you might enjoy. She kind of winks at you. She reaches down and she pulls up this small wooden box, almost like a music box size, with sort of brass hinges on it. And she opens the clasp and opens the box top on the hinges and kind of turns it so you can see it. And there is inside of this what appears to be an eyeball.
Oh.
Is that an eye?
It's not just any eye. Desmond, this is a petrified vrock eye. Quite magical. I'm sure of it. And then last but not least, she pulls up this small, probably, I would say 8 to 10 inch long, silvered letter opener that has just beautiful, intricate carvings down the hilt of it and up the blade. It looks as though it has never been used. She says, this is real silver. Quite beautiful. Again, found along the banks of the river. It's amazing what people lose. And it's amazing what I'm able to find.
Have you, do you have the ability to see if things are magical? Or is this like, it's so beautiful, it's magical?
I believe them to be beautiful and magical, yes.
Okay.
I'm not a magic user by any
Sandy
stretch
will,
of the
elbow
imagination.
Death. Can you cast detect magic on this stuff?
Yeah, Des will cast detect magic.
What does that look like, Desmond?
Um,
Grand gesture.
yeah, he's waving his hands over the objects.
Oh my.
Starts muttering some, incantations.
Very cool. Give me an Arcana check.
Right.
Yeah, and Xanthi will just say, this helps him choose,
Oh, of course.
something that's really important to his heart.
I'm quite interested to know if any of these are indeed magic. So, and having skilled magic users of your pedigree is quite helpful.
Okay, so that's 21.
Okay, that's decent. Yeah, some of this stuff gives off a magical essence to it. The divining rod, the willow branch is magical. The veil powder, the small pouch glows with a magical energy. It has sort of that protective magic sort of vibe to it. The vrock eye is magical. And obviously the potion of heroism and the potion of healing are magical.
But the rest are not magical.
They are beautiful, mundane items, but they don't give off any sort of magical energy. I would offer you to take your pick of an item in gratitude for what you've done. I believe that things could have been quite a bit worse if those beasts were left to roam. We are lucky that only a couple of, good old farts. Poor Curtis. Could have been much worse. Nevertheless, not to dwell on the negative, please, whatever you would like to take, choose what you'd like. It's my gift to you.
Gonna pick up the eyeball.
Okay, you have a petrified vrock eye in a wooden case.
How do you spell that?
VROCK.
Oh, okay, I was pretty close. This is a curious thing.
I thought you said frog.
So obviously you know that because of the roll, your Arcana roll, you know that vrocks are demons.
Oy.
Oh. Well, the other choice would be that veil powder, but it's only one use to protect from nightmares.
How about you, Alrin? Is there something that you want to grab?
Probably the flute. Yeah, I'll take the
Okay.
flute.
Yeah, it's a river reed flute. If you were to try to sell it, you'd probably fetch about 12 silver pieces for it, but you probably wouldn't want to sell it because it sounds really, really good.
Those potions might be really useful.
Oh yeah. Xanthi would take up the potion of heroism.
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
a choice.
It is a choice. Absolutely. Probably the best choice, as that particular item is quite expensive. What about you, Nori?
Nori will take the powder. The
Okay.
one-use powder. She will also pull out the old rat tail. She's been trying to give away to people and nobody wants it. And she'll offer it to Susie and say, I'll trade you this for the rabbit's foot. I
Oh my.
might need some luck down the road.
Oh my. May I inspect it? May I look at it? She reaches out. You give it to her. What is the story behind this? Where did it come from?
Came from a shop in Nulb. They told me that it was having magical qualities. I can't see it. It's traveled with me everywhere. It's kept me alive this long.
You still wish to part with it?
I think I need a different kind of luck.
Well, this lucky rabbit's foot will bring it for sure. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. I think this is a fair deal, Nori.
Okay. Thank you. I hope this rat tail brings you as much luck as it brought me. I'm ready to change my luck.
Well, either a little bit of luck or a little bit of coin. Both would be nice. Thank you.
And I'll put it over my head immediately, right next to the periapt.
Okay, so you have one use of veil powder. What do you intend to do next, then? Certainly you don't intend to stick around here. Or perhaps you do. We could certainly use strong, able folk like yourselves.
We're going to...
We have some investigation to do.
What type of investigation, if I could pry just a little bit? I am a curious sort.
It's related to the shadows and the mystery. We have to go to the battlefield. We have to go to Emerald Meadows. You know,
Into the heart of
some
darkness.
investigation. Yes, I've heard there's mist there, and I don't know what we're gonna do about that, but we do have to go up there. There's some things I have to learn. Hopefully this rabbit's foot will help.
Oh, it certainly will. It can't hurt.
Can't hurt.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, and if you pass through on your way back to wherever you go next, please stop. It's not often that we get goodly people visiting us in Emerdy. It's been quite some time.
We'll make a point of it.
How
When we
much
come
for
back.
the potion of healing, by the way?
Ah, the potion of healing. Well, I could part with it for you. 30 gold pieces and it's yours. Wonderful, wonderful.
Some of my dance winnings.
Well, that sounds like a story.
Oh, yes.
I bet
When
you're
we come back.
quite a dancer, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
You know, an
But we
old
do have some-
gnome like me hasn't had a good dance in quite some time. Perhaps when you come through after your grand adventure, we could have a dance.
Insight check.
What are you trying to insight?
Ants?
Yeah, right. Xanthe is trying to pick up if this is like a friendly like, yeah, come on by, we'll dance, or if this is we'll come on by, we'll dance.
Yeah, she wants to have sex with Alrun.
Oh, okay.
You don't even need to roll. It gets lonely in Emerity, dude.
Yeah, Xanthe just like raises up and like walks over and looks at something else.
Haven't you seen the fancy hat? Come on now.
Quite
Quite
charismatic.
dazzled.
You're
Yeah.
a cowboy, right?
Can show her a move or two.
Oh, I know the cowgirl.
Oh dear.
Nevertheless, is there anything else that I could that you'd be interested in purchasing before you leave? The divining rod, for example, might help you with finding some water in a time of need. Also, the silver letter opener could be useful. I could part with that for 10 gold.
It's old.
All right.
I mean, we have some stuff that maybe she might like. You know, like Des, we have a bone bracelet from a lizard man.
Ooh, yes, let me see what you have. And she gets very excited as you start to bring things out to show her. We won't go through all of that right now, but if you want to sell her things, she may be interested in purchasing knickknacks from you, for example. But certainly you can ascertain, or you can make those offers if you'd like. She is very interested in strange surprises. And with that, you take your leave from Greenberg's surprise. Susie gives you a wave, and as you're leaving, you see young Tam sort of walking in, sort of like bumps into you, Nori, as you're walking out. He's kind of coming in, he's like, oh, sorry. And he kind of like holds the door, and he's just super rigid as you're kind of passing by.
I will act as normal as possible, tap him on the shoulder and say, "You're one of us." I'll look him straight in the eye and walk past.
He just stands there holding the door as one by one you each walk by. As you head back out into the rain that continues to fall upon this already super soaked landscape, what do you guys want to do? It's probably at this point mid-afternoon.
How long do we have a sense of how far the Emerald Meadows is from us right now?
About a day's journey to the south.
We should set out in the morning, right? You guys don't want to go right now. But we'll go in the morning. Is that good with everyone?
Good idea.
Okay, well. Want to be
I
some
mean-
tax collectors?
Personally, I wouldn't mind a night's sleep just to make sure you wake up normal in the morning before we go on this quest. Just to make sure nothing happens to you. You know,
Like
we wouldn't
sleep
get out
stabbing?
there and have to rest and something crazy happens.
So normal, like right now. This is normal to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
want you to wake up in a cloud of smoke and stuff because you might
Trying
not
to stab
be
someone.
prepared for what's going to happen at that point.
Sleep stabbing.
Right,
Saying sleep.
Sure
stabbing.
sign of a curse.
right. You know, like if you tried to suck one of our souls into your sword or something.
I mean, I haven't had the urge to do that yet, so can't say
But
you're
we
safe.
just had an upgrade, so...
We had an upgrade.
Right. When you hold your sword to your ear, do you hear the screams of the damned?
I'll summon it.
I think that was the seashell.
Dez is currently holding the eyeball up to his ear.
We're all holding things to our ears right now. I don't think it works that way for this.
You don't hear anything.
Do you see, I don't know, like another family member deep inside that crystal?
I didn't see Xanthi any family members. I mean, I just see
Oh.
things that look like maybe people moving in the shadows in there, and it's maybe
Den-
maybe is
It was Dennis said it was talking to him. Has it said anything to you?
well, when everything got real crazy, yeah. That was my matron. Who probably was who was talking to him. I don't know.
Has she
Hasn't said anything to me
said what her
since
name
like,
is?
oh no, I don't feel like
This
I should
matron?
ask. I feel like that's disrespectful or something.
Well, I mean,
It's
did
hard to
she,
describe.
do you ever ask her, like, what should I call you? And she said the matron.
That's what she
Or,
calls herself to me. So to me, that says that's what I should call her. It's logical, I think.
Did she give you any sense of urgency to get there?
She's been giving me a sense of urgency since we got to Verbo. So yes, we need to get there.
Did she say anything about? I mean, it's a pretty big area, right?
We're
Do we know where to
supposed-
go?
Yes, we know. There's a tomb, cleric's tomb. Cleric died in the battle.
That's right.
So that we're gonna know right where that is. I mean, I know right where that is. It should be easy to find.
say,
He's kind of an
cleric's
important guy.
tomb, like, did they have a name, or is that like, you know, is that just the name of the area is cleric's tomb, or, you know, like, who? Did you know them?
It's I mean, I fought with them. They were way more important than I was. Yeah, it's not an area, it's an actual person that died. His name was Certain. He was a cleric. He died fighting for Thrommel. So that's where we have to go. I know my brother's name is in that book. I don't expect him to be there. I don't know where he is. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out at the tomb. I hope.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So you guys are going to spend another night here in Emerity, it sounds like. Is there anything that you want to try to accomplish while you're here for this last afternoon, evening, and night? You have been mostly embraced by the small populace that is here, most of who you now have at least some knowledge of. They are in the Rock Powder Inn throughout the afternoon and into the evening, making toast after toast to those who have been lost, telling stories of the individuals that were killed in the attack by the werewolves and sort of honoring their loss. But is there anything that you would want to accomplish in preparation for departing the next day? Why don't we go around the table here and you can see what you'd like to do. Let's start with Nori.
Nori wants to spend some time with the sword, with the gladius.
Okay.
Doing the same stuff that she did during the first upgrade, staring at the stone, comparing the two, listening to it, everything.
Okay. Give me a wisdom saving throw. How about Alrin?
I will be in the tavern playing music, trying to cheer people up and help with the remembrance and stuff like that. Just trying to make it a less painful time for them.
Okay. Would you like to roll a performance check? All right. Do it. Nori, what'd you roll for your wisdom?
14.
Wisdom save? Okay. 14.
Yeah.
All right, I'll come back to you. Alrin, what'd you roll?
14.
Okay, nice. Yeah. You play, some theme appropriate ballads, perhaps accompanying some of the toasts it gets a little raucous as the night goes on with some of the drinking that goes on. And even Dalton and the small group of authorities, if you will, from Verbobank, Sergeant Dalton and his crew are there hoisting mugs, although of course they did nothing to help at all. They seem to like to sit around on their asses. But they're there, and it seems as though you are being hailed as heroes of Emerity, and the music is accompanying some very heartfelt remembrances of Philip and Ernest and Curtis, the three that were killed. Dennis is there, as well as Dennis's wife, Tala. You even, for a moment, see Ansrith, who is Wallace's wife, sort of hugging and consoling Tabla, who you find out to be Curtis's wife. And of course, Dabney is there. He's hammered, singing songs, and he's got his arm around Olaf. And there's a little bit of fun and humor going on too, as people are doing their best to come to grips with the loss of. There's not a lot of people in this town, so it's I would say like a kind of a significant proportion of the population within this small town that still remains. Desmond, how about you?
Has Xanthi cast her identify for the day already? She did, right? Okay.
You'll have to ask me tomorrow morning. Don't forget.
I know. I want to find out more about this eye.
Yeah,
out
that
what it
looks
does.
weird.
Like super weird.
All right. How about Xanthi? Is there anything that Xanthi wants to do?
Xanthi wants to kind of like keep an eye on Nori to see if she's acting different or like any weird effects from her newfound crystal. And she also, if Dennis is here at all, she wants to kind of like keep an eye on him too to see if he's acting weird, because it seemed like he was under an enchantment of some kind, and it all seemed very sketchy that he got to make it out of all of that bloodbath.
Sure. Give me an insight check. Give me 2 insight checks. The first will be on Nori, and the second will be on Dennis.
Okay. 14 for Nori.
Okay.
7 for Dennis. He was always like this.
Yeah, you don't know Dennis, so there's no real baseline, to be able to compare to. It's kind of tough. In terms of
Mostly
your,
human-like.
yeah, he's not wolfing out, that's for sure. He seems to be still rather shaken. A lot of the people are sort of prying details out of him about the night that he spent, hiding. And the predicament that he found himself in. So he's telling a lot of stories about what's going on. In terms of your insight check on Nori, I guess I would leave it to Nori to kind of fill you in on what you might pick up about them right now and how they're feeling or acting. I will say this, Nori, as you are investigating and sort of shall we say attuning to?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
probably exactly what I'd be doing.
Now, I will say this from a mechanical perspective, this does not require an additional attunement slot. This becomes part of the attunement that you have with the original shard that you have placed into the socket on your sword. So it won't require an additional attunement slot because you can only have a couple at a time, right? You can have 3, I think, at a time.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, you do spend some time attuning to it. And what did you roll for your wisdom save? A 14?
Yes.
You hear at one point, perhaps coming from the crystal, perhaps coming from one of your companions, or maybe someone telling a story. You hear your name and you kind of look up across the crowd and you can see Alrin playing music and people swaying back and forth as they drink back flagons of ale, and food is being served. And you look back in the corner and you can see the tax collectors sitting in the back, sort of watching and occasionally standing up and shouting some obscenity and then sitting back down as they do. But you hear your name momentarily, you look about, but there's no one there that seems to be talking to you. There, in the door comes a raid of 16 people from Live from the Apocalypse as they enter the tavern, and the whole party really springs up at that point with the music kicking into high gear and more mugs of ale being passed around. It's an unsettling feeling that you hear your name without any sort of source to it, but you kind of know where it comes from. And I'll let you sort of interpret what that means for Xanthi's insight check on you. Welcome in, Raiders.
Well, I think you'll see that Nori is a little more hopeful. She is maybe a little more soothed than she has been for a while, despite the display that you saw today. She believes her brother might not be dead, even more so than before. And that is the hope that you see in her eyes.
Hey, thanks for the follow, you guys. Appreciate it.
It makes Xanthi really nervous
I think also
to see this very happy, soothed, version of Nori after this dramatically near evil expression of magic that happened, and she's going to be very concerned. And at one point she's going to turn to Des and say, I think we need to have a code word for if Nori goes off the deep end, and we need to stop her.
Safe word.
What should the code word be?
I don't know.
You've got time to think about it, because I think what we're going to do is we're going to end tonight's session at the end of this night with some resolution for the people of Emerity, albeit sorrow-filled. They do have some closure. They have the joy of their young Dennis being returned to them safely. Certainly his wife is overjoyed. Unfortunately, of course, Curtis, his wife, is left to be perhaps taken in by Milton and Ansrith, the owners and proprietors of this inn. There has been some loss, but there is also reason to be celebrating. And celebrate, this town knows how to do as it goes into the wee hours of the night, and each of you at your leisure or as you would want would retire back to your rooms, either in your rooms or together in rooms. Regardless, you will achieve a long rest as the night grows dark and the hour grows late. And we'll say this: you wake up the next morning, Milton has food packed for you, a breakfast laid out. He's got some field rations available for you to take with you on your journey. The people, some of them who aren't hungover and weren't drinking as heavily perhaps, are there to bid you farewell as you make your way out of the town of Emerity, heading south into a misty landscape, headed towards a fateful place called Emerity Meadows. And that, my friends, is where we will end tonight's session on the road to Nori's past and perhaps future. We'll see.
You might have said demise. I was going to be nervous.
Past and maybe future. That's the best I can do.
That's the worst that could happen.
The best I can do. Hey, everybody, thank you so much. Hey, thanks for the raid from our friends at Live from the Apocalypse. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the follows. If you like D&D and you like what we're doing here, please consider supporting our channel with a follow. We really appreciate your support and encouragement as we play games. We have a couple of really fun new games coming up that I want to make sure that I tell everybody about before we head off. We on Thursday this week, we will be starting up a new 6-part series called The Freelancers, which is a cyberpunk inspired game utilizing the Carbon 2185 game system. It is run by our good friend Dungeon Mr. Ty and has a fantastic cast, including Alan Henry, Lamar the Con Guy, Udahime, and somehow I got snuck in there just by the skin of my teeth to play with some fantastic people. I'm very, very excited about that. So definitely come by and check that out on Thursdays. That is starting this week and will be going for the next 6 weeks. I can't wait. We have got some really fun characters, and I think it's going to be a wild ride. And then also coming up this Saturday, we will be diving into the next arc of Tales from the Whisperwoods with DM Shiv, and we are overjoyed to have Shiv back to run us through that. You'll be seeing Shelly, myself, Ian, and Tony Shaw jumping back into that game with Shiv at the helm, and we are super excited for that. So thank you for your support, and hopefully you'll be able to stop by and check out some of those games. Lots going on in June, so definitely come and hang out with us. We'd love to see you. All right, so with that said, I'd love to go around the virtual tabletop here and have my friends plug anything they've got going on that they want to plug and do some outros. We'll start with Chad.
What's up, everybody? Chad here, Vamp Wickman. Obviously, you can find me here on Tuesdays, Heroes of Greyhawk, doing my thing as a bard. This Sunday will be our finale for the Heroes of Okaram on the Gary Con Live channel as we finish Luke Gygax's second module in the world of Okaram, and maybe we die, maybe we don't. Garner definitely wants to kill all of us. He really wants to kill me. I get that a lot. I don't know why. I know why. Otherwise, yeah, thanks once again, Dave. Thanks for running this game. Love the voices, the characters. You're doing a great job. Love the prep. Love the other players. Y'all are great. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate you, buddy. And I really hope that Garner can pull it off. Let's go over to Ashley next.
Hey everybody, I'm Ashley. You may know me as Minnesota Muse. I'm Minnesota Muse on the Discord, on Blue Sky, and Minnesota Muse 99 on Threads. So if you didn't catch me DMing the Undying Sky, it's now on YouTube. So maybe not the last episode, but all the way to the up to there. Go check it out. You can watch it from the beginning. It's a short game, and my players had a really good time, so I hope you would have a really good time watching it as well. And that's it. I'm only here on Tuesdays.
All right, thanks, Ashley. Appreciate it. Yeah, fantastic mini campaign that you ran with a great cast. It was that final episode, which is VOD on Twitch right now. Also, wonderful, really good. Thank you for that, Ashley. It was fun to watch that happen. And let's jump over to Andy G3D next.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Andy, also known as Andy G3D here on Twitch and other places around our great big internet. You can find me here every Tuesday night playing Dez. I just picked up a new spooky eyeball in a box.
Probably cursed.
It might be cursed. I'm just saying. It might not be cursed. But can't wait to find out what it does.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Identify doesn't identify curses.
You don't know.
No.
Attune to it. Put it in your eye socket.
I dare ya.
Put it in your eye socket.
Just pop it in there. Just pop it in there.
You got to pull out the old one first.
It's like a
Oof.
contact lens, a demonic contact lens.
Kind of. It's more of a prosthetic.
Or-
All right. Well, thanks, Andy G3D. We can't wait to see what you do with that eyeball. Let's move over to, last but not least, Shelly. Hey, Shell.
Speaking of taking your eyeball out, I just got a brand new silver dagger. So
They
there
go
you
together.
Hey yo. Speaking of ripping out eyes, Shelly. Also known as Flea Monkey, also known as Hey It's Flea Monkey on Instagram and Threads. You can find me here every Tuesday night, doing some Nori stuff. Wednesday nights over on Ty Thalanos' channel, doing some Pathfinder. And then, as has already been mentioned, starting this Saturday, diving back in Tales of the Whisper Woods. It's gonna
Can't
be
wait.
so dope. So excited.
It's going to be the best. Can't wait.
It's gonna be the best.
The best. Can't wait for Shiv to come back. He's a great storyteller. And dude, Ian and Tony are just a joy to play with. So we're going to have a lot of fun on Saturday. So come by and check that out. Shelly, thank you very much. You are the focus of my evil intentions, and I know you're game for it. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody. We're going to go ahead and raid into our friends over at Magi RPG. Let's see if I can find where that is here. Boop, there it is. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Make sure that you give Magi RPG some good old-fashioned Guild Superior love. We appreciate you all for hanging out with us. Thanks for the raid, and thanks for the subscriptions. Join our Discord. You likely won't be sorry, but you might. We don't know. Come over. You don't know. Check it out.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know until you try it. Yeah,
What an endorsement.
that's right. You don't know.
Just don't know.
You might.
don't know.
You might love it, or
Find
not.
out.
You don't know. All right. One thing I do know is that we're going to raid. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We'll see you later. I have a stinger. Here it is.